Hi, welcome to Chapter 16. 16 is kind of some review from Chapter 120, from CIS 120. Basically, kind of works with the grid system, how we basically put our headers and our columns, footers, those types of things. Dealing with a lot of floats. We're going to get into more of our responsive web design, where we can kind of say, hey, I want this to fit on a phone or a tablet or a desktop. So we are going to be working with this guy, which absolutely shows nothing because it has nothing in there right now. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to open it up into on the end line just before the head. We are going to add these three links. So we're going to add the normalized CSS, the skeleton CSS, and the custom CSS. Now these first two we can basically download. In fact, if you just go into them, so if you go into the normalize at the top, it actually has the a link for you to basically download that from get.io normalize. Again, this is a great way to kind of start your website and kind of start from a beginning. It kind of has a lot of defaults. The skeleton also, there's a nice website there on how to utilize that as well. This chapter talks about both of those, so if you want to read more about them, go to those websites, read about it, and basically understand how you can kind of incorporate those into your websites as well. Okay, so here is our custom. And so we are going to be, looks like we're going to be dealing with some different sized mobile media. And it says, okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to add these three into our header. So if I go into the HTML, right here, this blank line, again, this is where we always add of our links to our style sheets. I'm going to paste those three items in there. So we now have those three style sheets available to this website. Save it. I won't go out and look at it because, again, as you can see, there's nothing in between the body tags. Okay, so just below the top section, we are going to add a container. Div class using the class container, and we're going to add a class row inside those containers. Actually going to add two of those. So let me add this guy into the top section. So now we have our container. Inside the container we have two rows. And if we were, and we don't have anything on our style sheet yet. So I'll save it. Again, nothing will show up, so I really don't want to go out and look at it. Inside the div tag with the class row type, div class 4 columns. Okay, so within our row we have 4 columns. We have my company, which is my logo, and after that we have our 8 columns. So we're going to open up the zero nav. We're going to put that inside of the 8 columns. I already have that open over here. So here's that guy. Highlight those 4. And I paste them inside of the 8 columns right here. Let me tab them in so that now again, I could go ahead and display this to see what it looks like, and and it's going to be pretty plain Jane. So there's my company, there's our logo, there is our nav. Okay. We're going to add a class attribute to each one of the links. We're going to add a class equals button. So let me just, in fact, I'm going to do this. The top button is going to have a class called button primary as well. Okay, so there we have our class buttons. Again, I could do a refresh, nothing would show up because we don't have those classes in there yet. We don't have those styles set up yet. So, so within the second class row, we are going to add "We Do Great Things" and a couple of links there, all inside of this top section. So, save it, and if we were to look at it, again, all we're going to see is some text, and that's it, because we got H1 and a different tag. Now notice this, it has a specific font to it, font size, and that's because some of the other CSSs that we're using. Up here it says the skeleton also includes a special class named button primary that assigns a special look to the button. So if you notice, our buttons now have a nice look and feel to them. It gets that from the skeleton class. And since I used the button primary, it made it blue. Same thing here, this has a button primary as well. So the skeleton brings over a lot of good stuff for us to use that we don't have to change anything. We're going to add action class to the last row. We do great things. So I add a class, row, and action. So I had a row, now it has action in there as well. I don't know if that will do anything. Let's see. No. Okay, so we save it, we looked at it. Okay, now we're going to go to the info section 3. Did we get 2? Oh, I must have did that with 2. Okay, so for 3, we are going to basically place that after the info section. So I go to 3, add that after the info section, and there we have it. Okay, so if I were to look at it now, let's see what it looks like. Just basically has a header and then 3 groups of text with some links with each one. So we are going to add a class row to each of those. In fact, let me just highlight this again. So now we have a class row. We have within the second row we have 4 columns. And let's take a look to see what that does. Okay, so the skeleton class has a lot of pre-built items in there. So there's our buttons. So if I look over here, I'm sure, yep, it is a class button for each one of those guys. Looks good. Now I noticed when it has to refresh, this is what it should look like. Let me put the footer in there. So if I come over here and go to the footer and place this item in the footer. And save it. It doesn't look like the picture, and the reason is we're missing some text. So what I had to do is I had to go over here to the good one and basically copy the text in. So I just basically copied this line of text. Let me just grab this whole section. Grab the whole info section. And do a save. And now it basically looks like the picture in the book. There you go. Maybe I did too much. Hold on. I may have gone too far. So let me just do this. Let me just grab this line of text. There we go. Okay, so now it looks like the picture. Now, we're getting close. So now we're going to add some styles. So we're going to go into the mobile first queries. So here's the way they've got it set up. Is, remember from last week we talked about responsive. Do you program, or do you set up your styling for desktop first or for mobile first? In this particular case, we're going to code for a mobile first, and then we'll apply different styles for larger items after that. So within our mobile first, we're going to grab the style. Let me copy and paste. We'll talk about it. Custom. So right up here. So our container, our background color is pink. Save it. View it. As you can see, we have a container. Now the reason they do this is we're going to change that color, but we want to see where the actual container is. We can see we got some nice white space on the outside, and basically this is just the container. Yeah, so it looks like that. Go open up the look at the top section. And we're going to add these two div tags. And we're going to add two div tags here at the bottom. I'll just duplicate these. So it has there we go. Okay, so we have a section header and a container. Does that bias anything? Does the skeleton have anything that deals with that? Yeah, so it does. So it looks like it basically pushed things over, aligned things a little better. Yep. Okay, so we're going to add to all of our widths, we're going to, it says we're going to delete the container rule above. We're going to replace it with this guy. So again, you're going to get rid of the pink. So our header is going to have a padding of 50 top, 0 right, 70 bottom, and 0 left. Our background image is going to be whatever header that is, and it's going to, the size is going to cover basically everything inside of the container. So it says cover is going to go from one side to the other. So I save it, come back over here and refresh, and there it is. Okay, so it's going to, I'm sorry, it's going to be outside the container. It's going to go from edge to edge of your browser. So that's our header. And obviously our header is this class that we set up here. So we have a section and a header class. So within the header class, so everything within those, between those two divs, that picture is going to be the background. We're going to put a logo. We're going to change our logo. Let me copy and paste. Let's talk about it. So place that right there. So the font weight of our logo is going to be 600. So again, when we deal with bolding, we have bold, bolder, and we can get darker as we go along. We can go 200, 400, 600. So it's going to be a little bolding going on there. And the color is going to be whatever that RPG number is. So let me save it. And let's view it. And so our logo now has a, looks like it's a light orange background. It's a little bold. Looks good. Stands out with that background. We're going to add 3 more styles. We're going to have a nav tag, which is going to line the text to the right. Our button is going to have a different background color, and when you have the hover, it's going to have that same color, except the background color of the button is going to be a little more transparent, or a little less transparent than when you hover over it. It's going to be a little more transparent. So that's really the only difference between hovering is the transparency. So I grab this guy and throw it out here and save it. So again, let's look at our buttons. We're going to see the text aligned to the right of our navs. So watch our navs up here. Boom. Didn't look like they aligned to the right though, did they? Must have been the button itself. But anyways, we can see that as I hover over each one, the transparency basically changes. Okay. We're going to add an action, so we're going to make the action aligned to the center. The text is going to be aligned to the center, and the pan on the top is going to be 75. Any H1 tag inside the action class is going to have a margin of 0 all the way around. Any H2 tag inside the action is going to have a margin of 0 top, 0 right, 20 on the bottom, and 0 on the left. Okay, so I highlight those guys, copy, and paste them in. And if we take a look, where was the action at? So it says we do great things has the action class. Is there anything else? I don't see that anywhere else. So this we do great things. Let's kind of keep our eye on these 2 lines, and voila. Okay, so they're centered now. We have a top and bottom, so it looks good. Looks very good. So now we need to kind of so talking about last time is mobile design. We're designing for mobile first, and then we're going to basically design for any desktop or tablets as we go along. So if I were to resize this screen, what would happen if I were to make this look like a mobile device? Well, it really doesn't work all that well. It works okay, but it just shrinks down and everything kind of goes whopper-jawed, but not too bad. Now, one thing I do want to point out, this is something you can do in Firefox. I think you can do it in most all the browsers, but it works best in Firefox. If you're in Firefox, if you want to experiment with your CSS, you can. You just hit the F12 button on your keyboard, and it opens up this nice little bottom section, and we've got different, so I've got this thing called Inspector, Console, Debugger, Style Editor, so on and so forth. If I click on the Style Editor, it will bring up all of the different styles, but I have to get the right style. I have to come down here and grab the Custom Style. So here's, look at, there's all of the items we have in our Custom. And what I can actually do is come in here and say, you know what, I'm going to change the margin of my H1 within the action. This guy up here says we do great things. I'm going to change the margin to 25, which is 25 all the way around. And let's see what happens. Nothing happened. Okay, so let's change it to so that it is font weight is bold. I noticed that it just popped up and now it's bold up here. Now the great thing is about this is it does not stay. I can actually close this window and it will stay for right now, but as soon as I do a refresh, it goes back to the original style. So I can go in here and play around with my styling, and once I find something that works, I can then make sure I go into my CSS and apply it. So a nice little kind of a sandbox, so to speak, allows you to kind of play around and see how your styling will work and change your different CSS styles. And again, it doesn't stay until you actually update your CSS file. Okay, and that's kind of what they're showing there. So if we go into the logo, I'm going to copy it. So it says we want the background color to be black of our logo. Our position is going to be fixed. I mean, it's always going to be there. No matter how you scroll, it's going to be right there. The top says it's going to be aligned to the top. It's going to be aligned to the left. It's going to be aligned to the right. And the padding is going to be 10 pixels all the way around. And Z-index says, remember from last week, a Z-index of 1 makes sure that it stays on top of something else. If I make it I can make one a 1 and another one a 2, so that the 2 will always be on top of the 1. When I make it 100, that says I'm always going to be on top, unless I made something a z-index of 101. So anyway, so that's basically what's going there. So this should create a black box all the way across the top. That's always going to be there because it's fixed, and it's going to have our company logo in there. So I save it. I come over here and I basically do a refresh. And sure enough, there's my company logo, and there's that black box all the way across. Because we said top 0, bottom, or left 0, right 0, and then we have a padding. Okay. Below the nav rule, and we're going to add a nav and buttons. So any button class inside of the nav class is going to have a width of 48%. The margin is going to be 2 pixels on the top and bottom, and 0 left and right. Okay, so this is just the buttons inside of the nav. It won't affect any other buttons but those. So I copy them. I'm going to place this right below the nav. So there it is. So there's my nav button. So the width of our buttons within the nav are going to be 48%. The margins are 2 top and bottom, 0 left and right. So save it. So again, watch these buttons here at the top, and basically, as you can see, now we got 4. So now we're basically really designing this for a mobile device. So as I shrink this down, notice how those buttons shrink and grow. Okay, right there when I hit that item, right, boom, right there, you can see how it jumps to that 500 Did we type anything for that? Thought we did. Oh, it's just a text. Oh, I see what happened. The text basically goes to 2 lines. I thought it was changing, but that's not. Text goes to 2 lines and things start jumping around. Okay, so looking good so far, looking good. We're going to locate the first, the header rule, and change the padding to 30 top, 0 right. So 30 top, 0 right, 20 bottom, 0. So we're going to change the padding of the header rule. So 30, 0, 20, 0. Save it. Let's watch our header change. Okay, so now kind of move things up a little bit. Going to action rule, and we're going to change the padding top to 37. So where's our action? Padding top is 37. Where is our action? Our action is we do great things. Okay, so what we're looking to change here is this gap between here, between this button, these buttons, and this we do great things. When I do a refresh, sure enough, we changed that. So we basically kind of closed it in a little bit. Okay. After the action 2 rule, we're going to change our H1 and H2 tags to have different font sizes. So H1, any H1 outside of the action tags are going to have, or I should say any H1, it's going to have a font size of 3 rems and 2.5 rems. And if we look at that now, there it is. So there is our change. Again, we are styling for a mobile device. That's why it's a lot smaller. We're going to change it once we look at the larger desktop and tablets. We will change that font. Okay. So far we made a great start on a mobile friendly page. So let's basically look at some other things. So within this media width of a minimum width of 550, we are going to change it to so here's our 550. So it basically says so once our minimum width is 550, so all widths of 550 or greater, okay, so non-mobile devices, the header is going to have that padding, 40 top, 0 left, 50 bottom, 0 right. I'm sorry, 0 left. The logo is going to be positioned static. The background color is transparent. The font weight is 2 rems. The line height is 1. Then the buttons within the nav are going to be a width of auto. I mean, it's going to basically make them fit. H1s are going to have a 5 rem. H2 is going to have a 4.2 rem. So if I look at this guy now, this stuff all up here should change. Boom, so there it is. Notice that my company comes down here. Our buttons look like they did before, and these guys look the same. Now when I resize, when I get smaller than 550, watch what happens. Boom. There's our logo, there's our buttons the way they should be, and here is our text a lot smaller. So again, it falls in place with all of our mobile first stuff. Okay. $750 or greater, we're going to change the logo to have a font size of 3 rems, position as relative, apply it to what it's inside of, and the top is going to be 5 pixels. Okay, so save that, and when I look at it here, it should change our logo. Yep, our logo is a lot bigger now. So as I resize it, watch that company logo, my company will change. So it got smaller right there. See, it went boom. Right there, it got smaller. And we get to less than 550, it gets into our mobile. Okay, now one thing we can do, and if you look at it's called viewport typography. I talked about this in the RWD too. You can actually use that same styling with the VWs, the VHs. You can use that as well within your grid style to make sure that things work. So pretty cool stuff. I don't know, did they go ahead and do they have any more in there? No, they don't. Okay, so what you can do is, again, so anything larger than 750 pixels, which is pretty large, you can add styling for that. And then things that are larger than 1,000, you can style for that, and anything larger than 1,200, you can style for that as well. So, really good start. The website looks great. It changes as we resize it, kind of looking back at how it looked as we move things around. Yeah, so it looks good. Okay, any questions, make sure you give me a call. I'm glad to help you.